There are a ton of people that I and Ruan speak to on a daily basis that really struggle managing their money well. They feel insecure when it comes to money, they feel fearful, they feel uncertain. They might be earning money or they might not be. The point is they don't really know what to do with it. Which means that if there aren't certain anchor points or principles that bring you down and help you to actually manage your money well, you're going to be following a bunch of influences in and around your life that cause you to manage money in a certain way, which probably might not be to your benefit. And for people who feel insecure and anxious and uncertain about their money, there is actually help available. There is actually a better way than what you are doing now. And that better way is what we are trying to teach, and that is what we are trying to solve for here on this show. So welcome to Understanding Money. My name is Martin. I am a financial manager for small business and work with a bunch of small businesses and their finances. And this is my co-host, Ruan.
Hi, I'm Ruan, currently working as a financial advisor.
Which in turn, I suppose also you see a lot of issues in your daily that causes you to feel a fire burning inside of you to want to help people at least see the light.
Most definitely. I think similar to yourself, it's a lot of things that we are burdened by, seeing a lot of wrong behavior and a lot of people doing things that affect their lives in a negative way, which obviously stems around how they use their money. That's so preventable. And I think it's not necessarily an irritation with where they find themselves, but the fact that the mistakes they're making, in at least in our estimation, are so basic that we almost feel compelled to see how can we share our knowledge to prevent that from happening on a larger scale, at least than what we're doing currently.
So what is this show about? Well, it's aiming to be a place where you can come and find knowledge and principles on how to steward your money well. Not just manage it well, spend it well, invest it well, but what principles can we put in place to help you steward your money well? We have been given our money as a tool and a resource to do good and provide for us and be generous and spend and whatever it may be. And we want to help you in what you can set in place, being really practical to help you manage your money well. So this isn't about fluff. This isn't about the best investment strategy. Unfortunately, it isn't about the crypto or the Forex bro so much. But it's for the people who really need help in how do I actually go about money. There's going to be quite a lot of conversation around the basic parts of our financial management, like the budgeting, like investing, like insurance, like debt, like emergency fund, etc. But in our videos, we're going to aim to, within 20 minutes, make it a really jam-packed, valuable piece of teaching and coaching in a way that will really set you up for a win. So it's not just about the info, it's to make it practical. And hopefully after the video you leave inspired about the fact that you actually can manage it better than you've been managing it now. There's actually something you can do that's practical, that's relevant, that's applicable to pretty much anyone in any situation to manage your money better. And that sets you up for a win. That brings financial freedom, that brings choice, that brings margin, and that's going to really give you hope for the future. So Ruan's going to take us into what today's video is about, because as much as it is an intro into who we are and what we do, we also want to start it off from the bat, chatting about some areas of anxiety or insecurity in our finances and where there might be a gap.
So, I think with this pod, we don't just want to focus on tactics, but get down to root causes. And this is most definitely not another podcast about how to get rich quick. But yes, we're going to be talking about money, but I think if you listen closely and you try and understand what we're saying, you'll come to find a golden thread that's more centered around improving your quality of life and living well, impacting your life in a positive way, your family, your community, and so forth. So with that in mind, the root causes we're going to be speaking about in this podcast is lack of knowledge. Secondly, lack of discipline, focusing on behavior. Then moving to peer pressure and influence and how that relates to your spending specifically. And then lastly, we'll look at a lack of vision and what that brings or does not bring to the money conversation. So first off, getting into lack of knowledge. Could be said that people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, which is why this is so important. I think moving on to my previous point on thinking about your life and quality of life as it comes to money, a lot of people don't have knowledge, and that leads to anxiety because we don't experience, or at least myself, I never experience anxiety in proportion to how difficult something is that I'm doing, but according to the uncertainty that I have. When I know exactly what needs to happen, but it's quite hard, it's easier than not knowing what to do that is comparatively actually easier than that hard thing. That anxiety then stems from that lack of knowledge, but it's also accompanied by fear that can either paralyze you or drive you to do the wrong thing. And what we've seen and what you would know if your upbringing and your life is fairly similar to myself and Martin is that at current point in your life or previously you earned money, but you didn't know what to do with it, how to spend it, how to build, how to move, how to make it work for you. And that's because you were born to parents, you attended schools, you're currently in communities, you're working in institutions, you attended universities, where unfortunately these people failed to teach you about money, either because the focus was somewhere else, or unfortunately they did not have the skills and the know-how to do that. And moving on from that, if you were fortunate enough to even get some exposure, 99% of the time, the theory does not align with practical application. So you've got this head knowledge, you've got this book knowledge, but you've also got the money in your hand, and yet it's just not working. And now you find yourself fearful, uncertain, low on confidence. And as this podcast progresses, we'll get into this a bit more and unpack the lack of knowledge and why we want to bring knowledge to the table and leave you in a space where you have confidence, you know where your money is going, you feel this momentum, you feel you're moving forward, and that we can get rid of all those negative emotions and replace them with some positive ones as it comes to your funds.
Yeah, gap number 2, a lack of discipline. This is an issue of behavior. So a lot of what our inspiration, or a lot of where our inspiration comes from for doing this, but also our passion for personal finance, is what Dave Ramsey teaches. And ultimately he teaches, as he would say, what grandmother teaches and what Jesus teaches. And he always says that personal finance is actually 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior. Now, what Ruan mentioned, it doesn't discard the fact that knowledge is important, because there's certain principles and knowledge that you really need to be able to know how to manage your money well. For instance, if you don't know that it's a good idea to insure your car or to insure your big assets, then that's a problem. And therefore, knowledge is ultimately the thing that lacks. But for most people, they might know what to do. We live in the information era with probably the best resourced people who have ever lived. I mean, click of the button, voice note away to ChatGPT, and you pretty much have the info you want. So knowledge is sort of easily acquired. There's a lot of noise, but discipline is often the issue. For instance, I am married. My wife and I are almost married a year and a half. And budgeting for just me is one thing, but budgeting for a married couple is very different, and we have to align on a lot of areas and on what's important and so forth. But ultimately, those line items we put in the budget, the few $100 or $1,000 or whatever that goes to entertainment, or few $1,000 that goes to groceries, if we don't every few weeks and every month sit with the budget, compare what was actually spent to the budget, and keep ourselves accountable, and ultimately just go reckless, then that's a lack of discipline. You can have a plan, but if you don't compare what's actually happening to the plan, that's a lack of discipline. And that's often the issue what comes in with finance. So we say we want to save, we say we want to invest, but then what you do is you spend your money throughout the month and you say, oh, at the end of the month, whatever is left, that I'm going to save. And then what happens at the end of the month? Well, you have money left and your friends invite you for a braai or a night out, and then there goes your last money which you were intended to save. Whereas a discipline like budgeting for your savings at the start of the month, taking that money, putting it away, not making it easy to spend it, and actually leaving the rest for you to live off of, that's an act of discipline. And that is often what sets people free to be able to manage their money well. But big thing is you got to learn to say no. And Ruan, you and your experience specifically as a financial manager, you can probably attest to the fact of how difficult people find it to say no.
Definitely. So the third gap we've got is regarding peer pressure and community influence. So Martin, tell us a bit about what you perceive that to be and how that is impacting people.
Peer pressure and community influence. Often lack of discipline means that you're pretty much flying with the wind and doing whatever people around you are doing. And that's often a big issue. Where do we get most, if we don't have certain principles anchoring us in how we live and how we spend and use and manage our money? What ends up happening is we try to keep up with the Joneses, those around us that are constantly getting the new car, getting the new bike, the new stuff for the house, going into a big house, wearing the nice clothes. And we're trying to keep up with them, not really knowing what their financial situation is like. Maybe they are in an inordinate amount of debt, trying to keep up to some other Joneses that they can't really keep up with. And now you feel bad. They look great, but at the end, they might be super stressed, or they do really well and are just on a completely other level than you are. But the point is, a lot of the financial anxiety or insecurity comes from looking towards other people, not really knowing the fullness of their situation, trying to copy or emulate them, which just ultimately causes confusion and overwhelm. A lot of people look towards their friends for how am I to manage my money, not knowing where their values are, not knowing what principles they're living off of, which again puts you in a place worse off than you were before, because you're not really sure what to do. You're not really sure what you believe about money and how I should be managing my money. So you're following your friends, you're going wayward, just starting a job, deciding, oh, I have money now, let me get that car on finance, which maybe will put them in trouble later. Or social media. Who are you following on social media? How are they living their lives? We all know, often don't realize it, but we all know that social media is the highlight reel of people's lives, and it is often very deceiving. Ruan and I were sharing a joke before this recording, saying where often you have a picture of a beach, or like it can happen that someone has a picture of a beach behind them sitting on a toilet seat, and now it looks as if they're on Mauritius or Seychelles or something, but meanwhile they're back at home just trying to make people think in their lives that this person is going somewhere. So social media is a massive influence on how we manage our money, how we steward our money. We end up looking and taking pieces and nuggets from a bunch of people, and you watch TikTok and it's the get rich quick scheme, and it's about going 100% down on a house and then drawing from that to invest in another. It just creates confusion, and you end up not really building a base, not setting yourself up for a win, to actually have hope for the future, to be able to have your own margin and choice in how you manage your money. It's difficult to say no because everyone else just feels like they're saying yes. So peer pressure and community influence, we need to realize and identify as one of the biggest reasons why we feel anxious about our money. And that sort of leads us onto our fourth point about a lack of vision. And Ruan's going to break this open for us.
Yeah, lack of vision is unfortunately a massive problem that people have got who is struggling with their finances, and mostly because it breeds a lack of clarity. So for example, you're at the counter, you're like, shouldn't buy that chocolate, shouldn't buy that car, whatever it might be, big and small. The reason why you don't have that trigger that just goes over into, okay, I'm not going to do that, is because you've not got that clarity on where are we going. And that's because a vision defines priorities with your spending. It creates margin, it creates peace. You need that vision. The reason why you're able to get up in the morning when you don't want to and go to the gym is because you have casted that vision of the body you want, of the level of fitness you want to maintain. The reason why you can study until 1 a.m. in the morning, even though it sucks, is because you've casted that vision of graduating and building a life and your parents being proud, or getting a better job and providing for your wife and your kids. So that vision essentially creates what you require to make these difficult decisions. Something I love and something that forms part of my vision and I build my life around, especially when it comes to money, is that a good person leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And once we start incorporating such type statements into our vision, money shifts from becoming a tool to something that actually serves your vision and your legacy. Vision is of paramount importance, because if you can have that understanding and that vision of wanting to one day be able to buy a house cash, or might take very long to do that, but it's possible, or to not buy anything in debt, or to move away from where you currently are, where you don't want to be sweating at 2 a.m. in the morning, not able to sleep because your debit orders are bouncing, to have these paradigms in your mind to say, I know what I want to get away from, and I know what I want to get to. And having that vision will ultimately make it a lot easier to make these difficult choices, or easy choices, as it will then prove to be, when, how do we spend, why do we spend, and most importantly, when do we spend?
That's brilliant. So in closing, what are the 4 gaps that we've seen that actually cause people to be anxious and insecure in how they manage their money? And number 1, it's a lack of knowledge. Number 2, it's a lack of discipline. It's a behavior issue. Number 3, it's peer pressure and community influence. And number 4, it's a lack of vision or values driving in your life. So take a moment to reflect. Take this minute. Then one of these 4 points would have spoken to you more than the others. Which of these are causing a gap in how you steward your money well in your life? Is it your peers? Is it the people around your life? Your parents, your community group, your school, whatever? Is it bad influence around you? Is it social media? Is it discipline? Maybe you're a single person, you budget, but you find it really difficult to actually just live by it. But do you maybe need to ask someone to keep you accountable on that? Do you maybe need to share it and say, look, I'm going to open up my financial life to you, but I really trust you in this to keep me accountable? Is it knowledge? Have you just never been taught what it is actually to manage your money well? Well, stick with us and we'll make you, let's say we'll make you wealthy, but I'm going to put a disclaimer on that.
We'll make it better.
Yeah. Stick with us and it'll be better. Yeah. Or is it vision? Do you not have a vision for your life? Have you sat and thought about certain goals or values that you want to live by, which will help you to say no to the things which actually shouldn't be in your life? So consider these 4 aspects. Consider what helps, or consider where there may be a gap for you. Comment below what the gap might be. And also another thing we're going to do, we are setting up a Gmail account. Down below in the comment or in the description, you will find it right there. So welcome to email us about anything and everything. We want to hear your feedback. But otherwise, Ruan, anything I'm missing, anything you want to close with?
No, I think that's brilliant. Obviously, we are here to share some truths, some biblical knowledge, some facts, because I think that is what it is. Like you said, it's common sense. Like, you can learn this from your grandma, or luckily you've got us. But we're here to help with what's worked for us and the knowledge we have and what we see on a daily basis. I think it's just important to note that though our heart might be pure, this is not financial advice. Do not take everything we say and just run with it. To seek out professional help. We're more here to cut away some of the fluff, because if you go anywhere, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, there's just so much that is actually nothing. So we want to strip that away, leave you with a 20-minute, 25-minute bite-sized podcast that broadens your thinking on some issues. And that's mostly to spark initiative and for you to then go, okay, this is an issue, or that could work, or this could help. And then go do your own research and chat to people that are highly qualified, and to do our part at the beginning to enable you to build the financial life you want to build.
Couldn't have said it better. On to the next one. Thanks for watching. And see you next time. Cheers, everyone.